Hi, I'm your host, Caitlin May, and welcome to My Friends Are Haunted, the podcast where ghost stories are normal and haunted houses are basically a childhood hobby. And something weird is always happening. I grew up in more than a few haunted places, and now I'm coming to share my personal experiences along with stories from listeners, friends, and family who have all had their own run ins with the unexplained. Some stories are creepy, and some are funny, and some might make you question reality just a little bit. We've got ghosts and shadow figures, aliens, cryptids, and everything that keeps you up at night. So grab your headphones, lock your doors, and remember, it's not always just your imagination. Welcome to My Friends Are Haunted. Hi, everyone, and welcome to My Friends Are Haunted. I'm your host, Caitlin May, and today you may recognize my guest. It is my partner, Mike. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. I have asked him to join us today. Well, thanks, first of all, for joining us in our home. It's very nice of you to make it down the hallway.
I'm here. I'm hanging around.
Yes, and he also, Mike has always said like he didn't ever really have paranormal stuff happen. Um, he was always like, "Oh no, I've never had anything happen," but he was always like so supportive. Would always go to haunted places with me. Bought me a ton of paranormal equipment, because that's what supportive partners do. But before we get started on the episode, which by the way, the topic today is haunted objects. And if you know anything about us, we're a thrifter. We're a thrifting couple. So, but before we get into that, I just want you to start by telling us your first paranormal experience. That was before we ever lived together.
Yeah, there was one in particular that kind of just like really kind of, I don't know, scared me more or less. Like, you know, when we started dating, I lived at my parents' house
Mm-hmm.
and I had a room all to myself once my brother had moved out a couple years before. So, I essentially like went to sleep one night and I forget what year this was, but
If I were to guess, I could probably guess it. It'd probably be like 2014 or 2015.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
we had just started dating for like
Uh,
maybe like a year or two,
yeah.
if I had to try to
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Yeah. That's what.
Anyway, so I fell asleep and, you know, I sleep like a rock for the most part. But
Like a rock.
but this particular night I was awoken by the sensation of somebody kind of like pushing on my shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like somebody nudged me awake and
Did you felt like a hand?
I felt it. Yeah.
Mm.
And like, I know what you're thinking. Like, oh, you're sleeping. It was a dream. It woke you up. But I became very, uh, it was very obvious that I was awoken and I felt it. I came to my senses and it wasn't a dream because I was awake and I was expecting to see somebody there and nobody was there.
You turn around when you felt it, you turn around to check.
Yeah. I mean, like, I almost like gained consciousness as I was being tapped awake or nudged awake, and I came to, and that's when I realized I'm like, who was just pushing me, like nudging me awake?
Was
Nobody.
was your door shut?
My door was shut. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there was
Mm-mm-mm.
nobody in the room, and then immediately I came, uh, like full transparency, like I just understood that like somebody had just nudged me awake.
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was, and it really kind of scared me big time.
And I remember when you called me.
I did
y-
call you. I was so freaked out that I
Yeah.
called you.
Yeah. And of course, obviously being like one who is excited about paranormal, I was like, "Oh my gosh, really?" And he was like, "No, no, no.
I was like,
Like,
this isn't fun.
no,
This
yeah,
isn't a funny thing.
yeah, I'm sorry."
No, she was very excited as
I was a little bit. I was just excited because I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, well, one, I feel like your mom kind of always said that there was something odd in that house. She something a little different. So I was like, well, maybe it's something in that house. But also, you know what I was thinking about during that time, like when that happened, was about the time that you, me, and our friend Liam would go. We went just like exploring anywhere that was spooky in Santa Clarita. So remember, we'd always go to like Man vs. Man, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
which that is for reference. It's an old burned out house that's off a back street in Santa Clarita. And also, that is where the St. Francis Dam broke, like right there. So I've always wondered,
there's a lot of history down that road, definitely.
maybe you picked up something from like one of the spooky things that we had been doing.
It's very possible. It's very possible because we would just kind of like as a pastime, fun thing to do, we would
Go
go out and
explore.
explore this area. And yeah, I mean, essentially a burned down house is going to have some residual energy
Mhm.
or, you know,
But why was it pushing you awake? Also, it kind of reminds me of like, obviously your first thought was like my mom came in the room and was like trying to wake me up.
yeah, that's what it felt like.
Um, like a
So
sense
it
of
didn't really
urgency.
feel malevolent in any sort of
Right,
way,
that's
but
true.
like it did shock me. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I woke up immediately and I was like, I don't like that at all.
And it was in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Mhm. As it always is. Not
you
always, but
know?
oof. Well, thanks for sharing your story. I'm sorry that I got you into got you into it.
Yeah, that's a fun fact. I never had anything happen to me until I started dating you. I feel like
I mean, he also blames me for giving him acid reflux. So I don't know. If acid reflux is contagious, then maybe ghosts are too.
yeah, there's no coincidences.
Which I honestly I do love, him being around when I'm doing paranormal investigating and ghost hunting and stuff because he didn't have a bunch of crazy experiences as a kid, so he's much more,
Do you
like
feel like I'm the skeptic that
he's
like
like yeah, you're a little bit of not a skeptic because you believe me and you believe friends who have stories. It's more of just that you haven't had anything happen as much. Well, that's not true. I shall say now since then, you have had stuff happen because we moved in
again
together.
because of
Bec
me? No, I'm just kidding.
Ag
Obviously I'm kidding. But
again, my fault. Uh,
maybe it's because like I kind of see it from a different point of view
mhm.
from like you have been around this and it's been happening for many years since you were a kid and like for me I'm relatively new to this experiences like that. So like I always try to take it not take it with a grain of salt, but like I want to
Be
look for something
open-minded.
like the how could this have happened? Like
Right.
not completely jump to paranormal, but I
Yeah,
want to like explore all the options.
totally.
And sometimes it's unexplainable. It's like, no, I can't explain anything.
Exactly, like, it
So,
made no sense. I do think that I lead more with my spiritual kinda side, and you lead more with your logical side too, so
right,
that which
right.
also makes it a great ghost hunting team because I'm like, "I need
That's
s"
right.
Thanks. I'm like, "I need somebody to s" well, no, the problem is he does fall asleep very quickly, and I'm always stuck in a haunted place. I'm like, "Alright, now
Hey,
I'm the
look,
only one awake."
I work a lot. Okay. I do be falling asleep.
He do be fun. I slept put on Ghost Adventures, that's his bedtime nap.
I'll make it like 10 minutes in. And I'm like,
And then he's out. I'm like, "How can you fall asleep with
and
all
I
this
miss all the
crazy
good
s"
episodes. I do.
You do. All the good stuff. Well, okay, so we are gonna go into our first, um it wasn't our first experience at this house that we lived at the time, but, we decided to, throw a Game of Thrones party, and that's where this that's where this went down.
Yeah. So that was like the final season of Game of Thrones
Mhm.
was coming out. And, we were so excited. A bunch of our friends, we've all been following that show. And like this was going to be the very premiere episode of that last
Yeah.
season.
And then I was like, "Well, obviously, babe, we have to go and buy a bunch of thrifted goods so it looks legit because I want my party to be on theme."
I know, especially for being like the first episode of this season, we had to like
Exactly.
kick it off with a bang, we had to set the standard pretty high.
Yeah. And
So
with that came a really scary haunted object.
this is true.
All right.
Unbeknownst to us.
Unbeknownst to us. It was 2018, and we were living in our very first house together in Valley Village, California. Nothing fancy, just a small 900 square foot place, a tiny kitchen, a combined dining area, and a cozy living room. It all just felt very safe and normal. Up until that point, nothing truly physical had ever happened. A few strange moments, things that we can discuss later with our friend Liam, but this was the first time something crossed the line. We were hosting a Game of Thrones watch party for the premiere of the final season, and we loved hosting and going all out. So naturally, we went thrifting. Goodwills, secondhand shops, anywhere that had old medieval looking decor. And we bought everything: silverware, trays, pitchers, candle holders, fur blankets, old metal pieces. Everything had to be dark, ancient, and the aesthetic had to fit the theme, naturally. That first night, it was all set up on the coffee table in the living room, and I remember just dusting it down before going to bed. And then nothing. The next thing I remember is waking up on the couch in the living room next to all of the new decor. I was exhausted and disoriented, surrounded by all of these new objects that we had just brought into the house, and I didn't remember going to sleep there at all. I woke up and went in the bedroom and accused Mike of not taking me to bed, but he looked at me genuinely confused and said, "No, you came to bed with me." And that's when it hit me. I did remember going to bed and plugging in my phone, but somehow in the middle of the night, I must have gotten up and walked back out to the living room. And I don't
Creepy.
sleepwalk. I know, I don't
That's just
sleepwalk.
creepy.
No, it was just so out of the norm. That's not
I know.
something. Ugh. So I don't know why, but that night, after waking up next to all of that stuff, I immediately felt in my gut like, okay, something we brought into the house just had something to do with that. The second night, everything was still sitting out and we hadn't cleaned it yet. And that's when the dream came. One of my friends was pregnant at the time. And in the dream, she stood in front of me with her stomach exposed. Suddenly, a black, sharp claw with a pointed nail pressed into her skin, slowly carving letters into her belly. And blood rose to the surface as she looked at me. And the word it was carving: demon.
I actually forgot about that, and that is terrifying.
I really, there's a lot of scary stuff that happened around this picture. That was my biggest problem with it. Because one, don't mess with my freaking friends. Two, don't mess with my freaking friends who are pregnant.
Yeah.
I Yeah, that one really, it made me mad. And in fact, I knew I was dreaming and I screamed, "No, you're not allowed to do that." And then I woke up. So I mean, I knew I was dreaming as it happened, and but I also, I think in my dream, knew like that whatever this darkness was is what was
So
causing that.
you woke yourself up by
It's like screaming at this
screaming at
thing.
it to stop.
Yep. I was like, "No, you're not allowed to do that." And then I woke
That's
up.
amazing that you were able to do that.
I just, thank God, because I did not want to be in that dream any longer. So that was 2 nights in a row. 2 unexplained things, and deep in my gut, I knew it was something that we had just brought into the house. So the next day I told Mike I was going to cleanse everything with Palo Santo, and he suggested that he was going to wash the items first and then he'll put them back out in the living room for me. So when I got home from work that night, he was gone, and all of the items were back out in the living room for me. So I began cleansing very carefully, one object at a time. I picked up each piece, said my prayers, put some Palo Santo and sage, and pretty much just vocalized that you are not welcome in my home and you need to leave. I picked up everything one at a time: old candlesticks, metal tarnished water pitchers, brown fur blankets, a gold lion's head plaque. Every single piece I went through, and I asked for my guardians for protection. And by the end, it kind of just felt like I had put a band-aid on something. I wanted to say it was gone, but I kind of knew deep down that it still didn't feel right.
Hmm.
That night, again, I went to bed alone, and I woke up suddenly to the sensation of a sharp single nail going down the center of my foot. At first, I thought it was Mike and he had just gotten home from work and was trying to kind of tickle me to wake me up. And I kicked my foot and I said, "Stop, I'm tired." Then I looked and both of my feet were underneath the covers. And Mike was home, but he was asleep and he was laying on top of the blankets.
Wasn't me, guys.
Oh, do you remember me waking you up like in a panic?
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean,
I
I was
was,
probably half asleep, but I was
yeah,
like, "What are you talking
yeah.
about?"
And I was
Like,
like, I couldn't even put it into words. I was so scared. And of course, I was like, did I cut myself with my other toenail? Like, no, I have really short toenails. But it was just one single straight down. Like, I mean, it woke me up. I literally kicked, like, stop.
yeah, that's creepy.
Oh my gosh. It was, yeah, that was terrifying. And like I said, well, and both in the dream and on my foot,
Oh, a claw.
a
Oh my
claw.
God.
Gross, right?
I did not think about that until right now.
I just, it had to, it was evil. That's for damn sure. Okay, so that was the moment I knew. I knew for sure at that point that one of those objects in the house was dark and possessed. And then the party, the night of the party arrived. And now at this point, we've got a haunted object in our house and a bunch of friends about to come over. So I had already told a few of my friends that I had been having some stuff happen. And one of them suggested I use the EMF detector to narrow things down. And I'll be honest, I hadn't done that because I don't actually use any of my gear at home. I think, they could kind of draw things. So I don't investigate in my own home. Sorry. But I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. At least I can narrow down what the object is because I need to get it out of here. So I went around the room and checked every object and I went over every single one, green, green, like nothing's being picked up on the EMF. And then I walk over to the coffee table where everybody has like their cups and the water pitcher. And I went over this water pitcher and it went off red, red, red immediately as soon as I went over it. And I kind of backed up and I like looked at everybody and everybody was kind of watching to see like if we could find the object. And also I will point this out. We did ask everybody to go in airplane mode. So we didn't have cell phones, giving us false readings.
Right.
And it was just immediately right over the water pitcher. And then it stopped and I said, "Did you just go off?" And then it boom, boom, boom goes off again. And I was like, "Okay, are you attached to this water pitcher?" And it went off again. And then as I said that, I realized I picked up every single object in my hand and cleansed every single thing. I did not pick up this water pitcher. And that's when it hit me. And I looked at Mike and I said, "Hey, Mike, where was this water pitcher? Where did you put this after you cleaned it?" And I swear, the look on his face, he got like, it almost like I think it was like, that feeling of like you just got manipulated. And he said,
Yeah.
"I put it in the cabinet."
For no apparent reason. That was the only thing I put away that I felt compelled to put away.
Compelled. Do you remember like actually doing the dishes and just like, was it just like a natural?
Yeah, but why would that be the only item and not everything else that I clearly brought back to the coffee table?
Yeah, that's what, that's why
That's confusing to
that's
me.
to me manipulation. I mean,
I've been manipulated.
you've been manipulated by a freaking bad spirit. Yeah, for sure. And the fact that it knew exactly. And so then I said, "Did you manipulate Mike?" And then it read, read, read. And so immediately I said, "Nope, you are not welcome in our house. You are not." And I asked for everybody to kind of like put their energy out there, tell it to get out of the house. I lit some Palo Santo immediately and I dumped out the water outside. However, like I just said, I dumped out the water outside.
Oh.
We had
Oh.
been everybody was sitting there drinking out of this water pitcher before we even realized what the object was.
Oops.
I know. Do you think we maybe got some friends possessed? I hope not.
Hmm. I played the
No.
fifth.
I really hope not. But it was pretty incredible though, because after I had dumped the water, cleansed it with Palo Santo, I I've said, "You're not welcome in my home. You must leave. I command you to leave." And, with that many people there, I really think that we just had the power of our energy versus whatever that was, because
Yeah.
as soon as I demanded it leave and called it out and I said, "We know that this is what you're with." Um, I went back over it, gone, just green, and never came back. And, that leads me to, I have friends that wanna know why I still have it, and yes, we still have it. Because I've always felt like that night we really got rid of whatever it was attached to it, and I've always just felt like if I take it back to a Goodwill, would that energy be able to reattach itself, and then I'm gonna go and ruin somebody else's night, you know?
Right.
But then Jessica said, one of my good friends, she said many times, she's like, "Caitlin, I don't know, what if the spirit is manipulating you to keep it?"
That is a weird thought.
And I hate it because, all right, well, here it is. This is the haunted picture, everybody. And it it looks as spooky as it was. It's very tarnished. It's very old. I actually looked it up. Um it's
I don't know
I
why
don't
it
know.
still makes me feel uneasy.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it does have a bit of a presence. Not so much anymore. Not compared to what it was.
Yeah, but still, just like the thought of looking at it,
All
like,
right, so here's the call. Anybody looking to buy a haunted object? Let me know. Message me. My friends are haunted at gmail.com. Inquire. Inquire for the picture. I would I would totally sell it if somebody was actually willing to buy a haunted object. But I feel like it would be irresponsible for me to turn around and just like get
give
rid
it
of
back
it.
to Goodwill,
Exactly.
like put it back out there in the world.
Exactly. That just seems kind of irresponsible. I don't know.
So in a way, you kind of feel protective over it. Like you have
Oh
to
no.
protect other people by keeping it. You kind
Yeah,
of like
I
are saving
guess.
other people.
I guess that's pretty deep, but I don't know. Maybe
Maybe
I think I need to get rid of it at this point. Somebody buy it. Well, see,
$500.
I think it's that. If somebody wants it, I'll sell it for $2. I just don't want to be giving it to somebody for like without like this seriously like. I just don't want it to end up at a Goodwill where somebody buys it without
Right.
knowing.
Right.
And you know, we never learn. We still go to Goodwill all the time. We were just at an antique shop today.
You know, I love it.
I know. Uh, I love it.
I love it.
Well, that is the story of our haunted object, and now our next story, I'm like, I can't sit there and look at this thing the whole time.
Well, do you want me to
Well, okay, I
what if
actually
we put it
just
back there?
you know what? I just recently had somebody over at the house, and they were like, I want to see your haunted object." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll show it to you, I'll show it to you." And then I just, like, totally forgot and didn't pull it out, and the weird thing is she was, like, into haunted objects, like, she probably would've bought it.
I just had a thought.
Hmm.
So I think this thing may still be manipulating us. Hear me out.
This is what Jess thinks.
Hold on, because I just thought about this right now.
Oh, no.
So, what was the first thing I did when I cleaned everything else?
You put everything back out for me to sage?
And what happened with this one?
It got put in the cabinet?
Exactly. Where have we been keeping it this whole time?
A different house, though.
Different house, but it's still getting the same thing out of us. It wanted to be tucked away in the cabinet,
It does.
and it still lives deep in
So,
our
what if
cabinet.
we repurpose, we put flowers in it and make it a vase?
Just embarrass that spirit.
Oh, look, you want to be naughty? Well, we're going to make you look pretty.
You're gonna be naughty and pretty.
That's a good idea, actually. I kind of like making it into a vase, putting it on set with a vase.
You know what? I agree.
Okay.
I think that's
We're going to rehome it.
We're not selling it. Sorry, guys.
Take it back. Until next time. Well, awesome. Well, that was our story. One of our stories, but that was our story about this specific object. And I'll be honest, I think maybe we should put this one down just for the next story so we don't have to look over it at each other the whole time.
I'll put it back here.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So this next story is a family story, actually, that we got from Mike's mom. And I remember she had told me this story years ago. And so when we were talking about this episode and that we wanted to, do a haunted objects episode, Mike was actually the one that remembered it. And he said, "Wait, doesn't my mom have like a crazy story?" And I was like, "You're right. So give her a call."
And it's so funny because I grew up with this story, but like I hadn't heard it, I haven't remembered about it in so long. I haven't thought about it. And, I called my mom up and I asked her, I'm like, hey, am I crazy? Or did you have this very, very specific story? And she said she remembered it like it was yesterday.
Yep.
That's how vivid it was for her.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, yeah. Do you want me to tell you?" I was like, "Please." So we sat there on the phone with her and recorded her. And I wrote it out into a listener story of sorts. And we'll just read that for you guys. And you could be as terrified as we were when she told us.
Here we go.
All right. So this is Monique's story. My story begins in 1972 in Rosemead, California, in a small, modest home. I was 7 years old, sharing a bedroom with my two older sisters. One was 12 and the other was 15. We didn't have much money growing up, and entertainment was simple. Sometimes, just for fun, my mom would load us into the car the day before trash pickup, and we would drive around the neighborhood just to look to see if anybody set out anything interesting or something fun that, you know, we could take home.
See, my mom was a thrifter too.
Literally, and
That's where we get it from. That's where I get it from.
yeah, she was a thrifter who also got a haunted object.
Well,
See?
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Okay.
like son and mother. So that night or that day after driving around for a while, we didn't see much. Then I saw her. Partially hidden behind a pile of trash was the most beautiful porcelain doll I had ever seen. She was large, almost 3 feet tall, like one of those my-sized dolls. Look, I will just interject and say that was never anything I ever asked for in my entire life. I never wanted a my-sized doll because
I'm
that's terrifying.
Do you think that like her perception of it, maybe it wasn't that big,
No, no,
but
no.
her
My-sized dolls
perception
were
of it?
literally like 3 feet tall.
Oh, is that a thing? Like
Yeah,
that's a
that's a
real
real
my
thing.
size doll.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it was that
I
tall.
had friends that had them, and I never was jealous of that. So she had the most beautiful long blonde hair and bright blue eyes, and a cream-colored lace dress. She was dirty, sure, but unmistakably beautiful, and we were thrilled. We brought her home and spent the entire day cleaning her up, fixing her hair, straightening her dress. She became the center of our attention. We played with her nonstop, completely enchanted, until our mom finally came to us and said, "Okay, you guys need to go to bed." That night, we stood the doll right upright in the corner of the bedroom, and the lights went out. Not long after, the room was quiet until suddenly one of my sisters screamed. I sat up just in time to see it. Two glowing red eyes flying around the room. They were moving, darting around fast, erratic, and she was screaming and panicking. And then I realized those red eyes were on the doll. Her arms were reaching out toward us, and she was no longer in the room, but she was flying around the room like Superman. Your mom literally used the term like Superman.
Yeah.
She said we were hysterical, crying, screaming for our mom. The moment my mother opened the bedroom door, the doll came crashing down and hit the floor. She shattered the silence with a loud thud. She did not shatter, however. This porcelain doll didn't break.
Which sounds unlikely. It like porcelain. I've
Yeah,
dropped my sister's porcelain doll before and it shattered immediately, like
yeah.
a foot off the ground.
She said my mom immediately accused us of throwing it, thinking that we had been playing, and threw it to the ground as soon as she walked in the room, and we were inconsolable. We screamed over and over, "No, no, it was not us. We did not touch it. She was flying by herself." She said she looked at us, and then she believed something really was wrong. We weren't pretending, and we were not exaggerating. We were genuinely terrified. Then my mother stated boldly, See, this is why we don't bring dolls home that aren't ours. I mean, to be fair, a doll is one of those things that a lot of people say you could put an energy into because it's
It's
looks
so
like a
human-like.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said we were all eager to throw her out. So they got one day of playing with this doll that they were just obsessed with. And mind you, like she said, they didn't have a lot of money. So an expensive porcelain doll that's 3 feet tall is not something that they would have been able to get as a, present or whatever. Like they all three
No.
were so excited to be having to play with this. Why would they voluntarily be like, get it the heck out?
And well, it kind of just goes to show like why was it in the dumpster to begin with? Like
Exactly.
why did somebody feel the need to get rid of this doll
Yeah.
that is might be a little bit more expensive?
Also, I just want to point out that yes, she was 7 when this happened, but your aunts were 12 and 15. Like being
Mm-hmm.
a 15-year-old and they still all agree like this is what happened.
Like verbatim.
Yeah, this is exactly what happened. So I'm just wow. 3 people now, all adults, agree this is exactly how it happened,
Like the story has never wavered.
not changed. And one of them was 15. Like that's plenty old enough to know what you're seeing. But, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, and I remember your mom said after, she's like, "Oh," and she said that we didn't have, like, any nightlights or anything in the room. She said, "So the room was pitch black," and she said, "That's actually why I sleep with a nightlight still to this day."
It's true. She will
Because
not go to
yeah,
sleep without a
she won't
nightlight.
sleep without a nightlight because of this story, because all she could see was the glowing red eyes, and she even said, like, she doesn't like the red, on, like, like, screens or, like, the red if, like, a TV monitor has, like, a red dot, she's like, "Oh, if it's too dark in the room and you see the red
Oh,
on,
it's like
like, a power."
flashbacks for her.
Yeah. Glowing red eyes, yeah.
PTSD.
But yeah, I mean, I get the need for a nightlight. I would absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I actually still I mean, I think that the room is never pitch black like that. I mean, I know a friend who literally tapes things, like, to make sure there's no light peeking in at all. I'm like, "That's scary." I need a little something. I wanna be able to open my eyes and
Yeah.
at least see something. But I get it, Monique, and hey, if I saw a porcelain doll flying around my bedroom, 1, I would never want a doll again, and 2, I would be scared of the dark for sure. I wonder if they ever
G.I. Joe dolls would never.
G.I. Joes when I was a kid, I was not like, I guess I was scared of my dolls in a way because I thought that they were gonna get jealous if so I had a couple that like dolls that were my favorite, but I would never only take that one doll to bed. I literally would line up my entire bed with all of my stuffed animals and all of my dolls because I thought that they were, like, gonna get jealous and, like, hurt me in the middle of the night if I didn't put them in bed with the other ones.
That's a scary thought, but also how adorable.
I
I could just imagine you with all of your
Yeah,
dolls.
that was me, but I feel like, okay, this could have been Toy Story, Toy Story causing it. But actually, I don't know what year Toy Story came out. But I feel like I was actually pretty young when I remember doing this, so I think it's possible.
Yeah, like
No
mid
idea.
90s. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I just remember they were violet. So my middle name is Violet. They're like these violet themed Cabbage Patch Kids. They were like tiny little cute ones, and they smelled like violet. They were so cute. But there was like 3 different ones with like different color hair, and I loved them so much because I got them for my birthday one year, but then that's when it kind of I remember that specifically because I remember being like, "Oh, well, I can't, like, replace all my older dolls with these new ones. They're gonna get jealous." And that's when I, like, had to transfer everybody to the bed.
Wow.
I know, very specific. But, I think kids do that, and I don't know if it's because they're all scared, but, like, I definitely did it because I was scared.
I mean, I don't blame you.
Were you scared of any of your toys as a kid?
Yes.
Really? What
Yeah.
one?
I mean, now that you mention it, I mean, I grew up in the 90s and it was very cool to have a Furby. Do you guys remember
Oh,
these?
yeah. I never had one, but I never wanted one.
Well, we had one. Mine was like it was black and yellow, like almost like a like
The
tiger
fluffy
stripes.
kind?
Well, I think they all had like a fluffy
Yeah, I think I know.
poof on their hair,
Yeah.
like for hair. But mine, I thought was so cool. I'm like, oh, black and yellow. And it was like, it looked like, it reminded me of like lightning. And my
Bumblebee.
brother had one and my sister had one.
You guys are Furby family.
We all got them for the same year for Christmas or
You get a
something like
Furby.
that.
You
Yeah.
get a Furby.
My mom was just Furby Oprah.
And was she happy with that after?
Um, I don't know. I mean,
Did you
it
get?
probably kept us entertained,
Yeah.
but like as it happens, like a year goes by or whatever, and you know, we grew out of playing with Furbies because that doesn't last.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the novelty is like over
Just having
within
it.
like the first 3 weeks,
Uh-huh.
But the creepy thing about these things and why I was afraid of it was they ran on batteries.
Yeah.
And these batteries died. The batteries died. We never replaced them because we were kind of over it. So we just kept it up in our closet.
Mm-hmm.
And then every now and then
No.
at night, the Furbies would say something crazy. Like
Shut up.
they kind of like had their own little lingo. It was like kind of like English, but like not.
Like an Ewok?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Like
probably
an Ewok.
really bad. Sorry to all my Star Wars friends.
Yeah. So it would just be like at night, pitch black, we're sleeping, and then this guy would be like, I'm hungry or something. I don't remember what they said.
Your
But
Furbies were going off in the closet for years after you
yeah,
stopped playing with them?
yeah.
And you
At least like
look,
I
that almost
remember
sounds
the
worse than
batteries were
keeping.
almost like I'm pretty sure the batteries were out of it. So that's why it was so shocking. Because, at first I think we were like, oh, it's going off, like whatever. Because I think they were like motion censored or something.
I don't know. I never
Or you had
had
to
one.
like touch them to like. Anyway, so the first night it was like, okay, that was weird. And then it happened the second night. And at that point, like by day 3, I went up there. I'm like, okay, why is this thing going off? It's like up in the closet. And I took it out, and that's when I realized it had no batteries.
Ew.
And it was just going off.
How have you never told me this story? I've never heard this.
I never thought about it. And frankly, I forgot about Furbies.
Well, I think you probably were like, I want to put it out of my mind because I never want to think about a Furby saying they're hungry in the middle of the night again.
I didn't even think about that until you just asked.
Did like all of like Alexis and Ish, did they also have Furby still at the time, or did they get rid of it?
No, I mean, we all had them, and then, I don't know, we tucked them away.
And how long after taking it out of the closet and realizing it was talking to you in the middle of the night did you get rid of it?
That's the funny part. I don't think we got rid of it.
What is up with us and keeping haunted things?
I don't know. I mean, you don't really. At that time, I wasn't exactly thinking like, oh, it's haunted. It was just like, that's weird. You're young. You don't really like.
Well, I think there was
fully-
a thing with Furbies being creepy. I mean,
anything that mimics being humanoid or like talking to you with eyes like a doll. It's like a doll.
right.
It was like a fluffy animal doll.
That talks. That's so much worse.
It's weird. Yeah.
Well, please don't ever buy me a Furby or a Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah, Tickle Me Elmo. I remember my sister had a Cabbage Patch Kid, but one of the like bigger ones.
Uh-huh.
And it was specifically the one that got like recalled because it was one of the ones that you fed the plastic food.
Oh yeah, I
in the
had one
mouth,
of those.
And then you'd like it would like fall into the doll, and then you'd have to like
open the stomach
and take it out so you could feed it again. And I'm pretty sure it got recalled because it started like eating little girls' hair.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't stop. Like the motor would not
I
stop.
remember
There was
that.
no kill switch on that.
Yeah.
So
it like just ripped it out.
it would like rip out kids' hair.
I do remember that.
And I remember
actually
thinking
had that
like
toy.
my sister had that. That could have been so horrible. Like it could have gone so horribly wrong.
A lot of the
I think we got rid of that one.
Oh, okay. The toy that's gonna eat the kid's hair. Well, I'd be so.
Not the one that's gonna scar you for life.
I wonder if it was like after you guys all moved out that your mom was finally like emptying out stuff, and she's like, "Where did these Furbies come from?"
I don't know.
So funny. Well,
and obviously they don't still have them, but I think we got rid of them just like years and years later. But it wasn't like immediately.
yeah.
You know.
There you go. Another haunted object story I didn't even know we had.
There it is.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight.
You're welcome.
And you got to come back because I have a lot of really good listener stories actually that I'm excited to read.
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Quite a
Liam.
few.
I'm looking at you, Liam.
Yeah, oh my gosh, the amount of people and friends who I have experienced stuff with and who have stories that I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to send them to me. Even my own sister, she has an insane amount of stories, and there's some where I'm like, she tells me something, I'm like, yeah, I don't even remember that, but because I think we were both going through a lot during the same time, and it's like I could barely even remember all my paranormal experiences. That's why I have to write them down.
Yeah,
So you guys need to write yours down too and send them to myfriendsarehaunted@gmail.com.
that's it.
And that's it. And that's it. You'll hear them on the podcast. All right. Well, thanks for joining me again. And everybody, have a good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.